I'm going to talk about a little bit of subscriber engagement and retention and how publishers are addressing that and one of the main challenges that publishers are facing with it. But before we talk about that, let's talk about subscriptions for a second because this is a business model that grew up in the past several years but accelerated in the last 2 years of the pandemic. And you can play this game with friends, but the other day I was at dinner with a friend and we started checking how much money you spend in subscriptions. And, you know, sometimes they say $200, $150. But when you start adding up, one of them said $1,300. Now, you include, of course, telephone subscriptions, power utilities, and all that, but the subscription model is here to stay. Um, if you look at most of the direct to consumer brands, according to several publications, are either launching a subscription line of business or thinking to launch a subscription line of business. So this is a model that is staying, and a proof to that is those segments in publishing and in media. So if you look at the numbers in the slide in the last only in the last 2 quarters, magazines, video, and music subscriptions just grew double digits and continue to grow. There is no sign of deceleration on the growth of the subscription model. Now, when you are embarking in a subscription model, you're gonna face a lot of challenges along the way, and many times depends on where are you in that business journey. And when we like to separate those in three phases, correct? When you're launching, um, you are more worried about defining that offering, defining that product. Worry about how agile you need to be to do A/B testing in the market. Make sure you something that really is well received by your subscribers, it stays there. But something that is not working, just take it out of the market very quickly. So you need to have that agility on your business to do that, and start experimenting with that subscriber experience, making sure that you fine tune that all the time. When starting to scale, um, then you're starting to become more aware of how you operationalize your processes, how you centralize data, so you can make easier decision making. And something that I don't like is a lot of businesses, a lot of publishers start getting worried about retention when they get to this phase. Retention should be in the first phase. When you're launching, you always need to think about retention. But most businesses worry about retention when they start growing and scaling. And then, of course, when you're in that lead phase, you are already leading, but you need to constantly innovate, constantly reinvent yourself to stay ahead of your competition and to make sure that those subscribers stay engaged. And with that growth and those challenges, what is interesting is this stat, and that's why I was referring about retention. In the U.S., this is newspapers in the U.S. Think about that. After all the money that you spend on customer acquisition, 50% of those subscribers tend to leave, tends to churn just after 4 months. Uh, that's a lot of effort, a lot of investment for such a short lifetime value of that consumer. And the trend goes drastically down right after that. So that's something that we continue to reinforce to our clients to make sure that retention is in the forefront of their engagement. Because everybody talks about content is king, and it's true. Content is very important, but according to uh, different sources, 60 more than 60% of the consumers really are looking for personalized experience, and most of them stay with your subscription because of the experience. They go there for the content, But once they are your subscribers, they stay for your experience. So you need to be obsessed about eliminating friction all the way in the journey of that subscriber. So doesn't matter if you are creating that awareness, driving them to register, or working on converting them to a paid subscriber. You need to also invest a lot on how you keep them engaged and make sure that they are retained. And even in the process of cancellation or pausing your subscription, it needs to be frictionless. I don't I don't know what happened with many of you, but sometimes I go into a service, um, and I want to cancel it, and really it's a painful process to cancel. I need to I don't find the cancellation button. I need to send an email to customer service. I will never come back to the service. And the reality is, for most publishers, is that people go to them for certain piece of content, and there is a group of subscribers that are seasonal that go back to that publisher once they are looking for that content again. So whether it's a football season, baseball season, certain areas, they go back to that publisher. But if you make it a very difficult process to cancel or pause, they will never come back to you anyway. So let's make sure that that friction is addressed alongside the subscriber life cycle. These are some stats from our customers on conversion rate when they offer free trials, whether it's a monthly plan or an annual plan, and the conversion rates are pretty high. Uh, and that's why I want to reinforce the retention part, because from doesn't seem to be an issue, the acquisition part. You are offering free trials and you are converting about 75% of them, which is great. Now the challenge is how you keep majority of those 75% with you for a long period of time. And when we look at subscriptions, you can divide that in what we call three different life cycles: the user life cycle, the purchase life cycle, and the partner life cycle. And it's about how you address, how you manage in that user life cycle that digital identity, um, how they sign up, how they manage passwords, how they manage the ID, if how you create profiles inside that subscription, if you are offering a multi-user subscription, how you create entitlements inside that subscription. And that's very important, that that is a user-friendly, frictionless experience. And then when you get to the purchase life cycle, uh, it's always the moment of truth, correct? So you need to make it easier for that consumer to not only onboard, provide the payment credentials, the recurrent payment needs to be frictionless. The the cancellation process, as I mentioned, needs to be uh, very easy to do. So all that needs to be very frictionless. And then for those publishers that are aggregators, managing that additional partner content and how your consumers and subscribers discover that content and then access that, and then you continue to engage and reconcile with that partner is very important, because many publishers and other media companies are starting to offer aggregated content, but it's very fragmented. Where you go to them, and when you try to access partner content, you need to jump out of their site to go to the partner content and sign up with different credentials, even though sometimes are integrated. So that experience needs to be, seamless for them to stay. So for us, acquisition is not the end game. Retention really is the growth engine. And one example, and this is a very simple chart, uh, when you have 5% more retention, um, assuming all your subscribers stay with you, but if you have 5% more retention, you can have more than 40% more subscribers in a 24-month period, uh, with the same acquisition techniques, but improving your retention across the business. So, what is churn and what causes churn? Of course, there are the voluntary churn uh, reasons, uh, prices, and when we talk about high prices, is now you probably publish something out there, but there is a competitor now showing a more competitive pricing. Poor service, as I mentioned, customer experience is key. Loss of engagement, and one of the things that we help our customers with is monitor the engagement. So you can be a paid subscriber, but if you don't access the content for several weeks, that's a red flag. You need to start promoting to them. You need to start engaging with them. Don't wait until they cancel. You really need to be proactive on trying to get them to use your service, because otherwise, sooner or later, they're going to leave. And of course, there are competitors. And one of the things that we always talk in the industry is that subscription fatigue. And the subscription fatigue is not about fatigue on the model. It's subscription fatigue on the we as consumers on the variety of offerings that we see in front of us. Um, when you go and you want to try to subscribe a video streaming subscription, you have plenty of those. If it's a publication, you have plenty of those. You want to see editorial content, you have plenty of those. So how you differentiate in that world to stick out in that digital uh, life of the consumers moving forward? And then there is a piece of churn which is associated with passive churn. These are subscribers that are happy with the service. They wanted to continue with that subscription they love, but in the process of that recurrent payment, something failed in the value chain. And in those cases, and that represents about 30% of total churn, in those cases, most publishers and companies, what they do is either they pause or they cancel that subscription, or they contact the subscriber and most likely ask for a different payment method. The problem is the majority of them don't want to do that, because if that subscription is not essential, like Amazon Prime, most likely the subscriber is going to say, you know what, I didn't access that subscription for the last several weeks, let's cancel it. So you don't want to do that. Um, According to Visa, 23.5% of recurrent payments fail. So imagine that. This is the inefficiency in the industry. And what we need to do as publishers is make sure that we address that to avoid the effects of that failed payment, because failed payment implies not only the immediate revenue loss and the immediate customer loss, but if you are offering your service on a subscription, you're also losing future revenues, because that subscriber otherwise would stay with you for a few more months. And you're putting more burden on yourselves because you are adding workload and efforts on your customer service team to try to recover or retain that consumer. So in summary, trying to recap some of the points that I made in the last few minutes is be obsessed in that process of eliminating friction. Subscribers go to you for the content, but it stays on because of the experience. Be adamant about monitoring that usage and engagement. Think about retention from the beginning of your business journey. Address passive churn, because that's going to help you eliminating that 30% factor of the total churn. And of course, select a platform that allows you to do that, a technology stack that allows you to do that. I would like to leave some few minutes for any questions that you may have, but before I go there, just want to have a couple of slides about Vindicia. We help publishers and other subscription businesses to manage subscriptions and to eliminate passive churn. These are some of the brands that use Vindicia. Many of them are publishers. And Forrester just completed a total economic impact report or study on Vindicia Retain, and the numbers are speak for themselves. 522% ROI, less than 6 months payback. Uh, Subscribers extend their subscription lifetime for more than 5 months, and significant monetary savings for publishers that use that. So if you are interested to learn more a lot about that, we are, I think, the first booth when you walk into the conference in front of the theaters. We'll be happy to address any questions you may have. Thanks for your time, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of the show.